welcome back. We're so glad you joined us. We're really excited about some of the comments we've been getting. People have been asking questions, and actually our topic today came from one of our comments, so we're really excited about that. So if you have a topic for us, please put it there. If you have any comments, we love to hear them, and we try to respond to everyone. So yeah, we're excited to do this topic here today. So
love the community that we're building here.
Absolutely. It's been great to hear what you guys have to say. So
for sure.
I'm Tracy.
I'm Taylor,
and we are TNT. So what are you drinking today?
So I am having a makeshift London Fog.
Makeshift.
At home London Fog. I don't have.
Would make a barista cry, but it's still a London Fog.
It's still a London. It counts. It still counts. Well, the reason I say makeshift is because I don't have a milk steamer, so I can't steam my milk, unfortunately. But I have Earl Grey tea, and then I just put a little bit of my vanilla bliss creamer in it, and maybe just a little bit of sugar, maybe a lot of sugar. And anyway, it's really good. So if you try it, comment below and let me know what you think. What are you drinking?
I have got vanilla chai today, and it's a tea bag that's actually vanilla chai. Sometimes we'll go and get like vanilla chai lattes kind of a thing, and that's got the syrup and it's got the powder and all that. But this is basically just a tea bag that makes the vanilla chai. In the way back of the refrigerator, I found a little heavy whipping cream today, so I was excited, so I threw a little of that in there.
So there we go. We got our makeshift London Fog and our makeshift chai latte. There we go.
If you have a favorite tea that we haven't tried yet, please comment below, because we'd love to start doing some tea testing. I don't know, is that what you call it?
Tea tasting?
Tea tasting. There you go. So, but we really want to just see what you like, and we'd love to try that. So
try your favorite tea next. All right, so what is our topic today?
Marriage.
I'm actually really excited to talk about this one because I love that we got this request from one of our followers.
Yeah.
I think that was awesome because marriage is super important. I think it plays a huge role in how you raise your kids and how your marriage relationship affects your children.
Absolutely.
And I think sometimes people don't always recognize how much their personal relationship with their spouse can affect their children. And whether you realize it or not, your children are watching you. So we are going to get into that today and break it down a little bit for you.
Right, and kids are so intuitive. People do not give children enough credit, I think, a lot of times.
True. Yeah.
And they think, oh, they don't know, or they won't realize, or they're too young.
Yeah, it goes right over their head.
All of those kinds of things, they're not. Even if they don't have the vocabulary to express it, or they don't necessarily understand the wording, they tap into those feelings. Even as a baby, you know, if you're really stressed, sometimes you just need to hand that baby over to somebody else, because they feed off of that, and they'll feel that stress and everything. So I think they're much more intuitive than we give them credit for. So I think it's important to have a really healthy marriage, and to know how to keep your marriage healthy, to support your kids and help your kids.
We'll just start with, first thing on our list is keeping your spouse number one in your life, which I think is very important. That doesn't mean that you neglect your children in any way, shape, or form.
No.
But I think, you know, your marriage, you guys started this life together. You guys, you know, you started this marriage together, and you're building this family together. And I think that is your core, that is your foundation to your family. That relationship is a ripple effect into the rest of your family.
Right, absolutely. And here's the thing, I'm an empty nester now. Kids are eventually going to go away, and I have seen so many late marriages, 25-year marriages, 30-year marriages, whatever, fail. And the reason is because they poured so much into the children, and all of a sudden the kids are gone, and they don't know how to interact with each other anymore. Yeah. They don't continue to have a relationship with one another.
Right.
And
because they built that entire relationship on their children instead of building it on each other and strengthening that relationship. So it's like when the kids are gone, it's just like, oh, what do we do now?
Or what do we have left? What do we have in common? You know, that's just one reason why it's super important. to keep your spouse first.
Just some practical ways to live that out. Something my husband and I try to do is do a date night at least once a month. If we can squeeze 2 in a month, we'll try to do that.
If they can find a babysitter twice a month.
I'm so short on babysitters right now. No, but yeah, we try to do at least a date night once a month, and my mom will come over and put the kids to bed for us, and we get to go out, do dinner at a movie or dinner, and sometimes we'll just go walk around somewhere and just spend some time together. I think being in tune with your spouse's love language is also very important, and so I think your date nights should reflect those love languages. Mine is quality time, so just sitting and having dinner and just having that eye-to-eye contact is just super important.
Get off your phone.
Yeah, get off your phone. Yeah, I love that you said that.
And connect with each other. Yes. And just, go for a walk and hold hands. That's one of the things that I want to say is date night doesn't have to be expensive. Even if you don't have a babysitter, or maybe you can't afford a babysitter, you don't have family in town or whatever, put the kids to bed a little early. Have a candlelight dinner right here at the house.
Yep.
Go out into the backyard, lay on a blanket, look up at the stars, hold hands.
I love all these ideas.
Spend some time just looking into each other's eyes for a while. And just connect, get off your phones, turn the TV off, and just, reconnect. One of the things that my husband and I always did is we had a policy that if our bedroom door was closed, it was blood or fire was the only reason that you would knock on the door. Parents have things to discuss. There's been things that have been going on during the day. He wants to know how the day was with the kids. I want to know how his day was at work. And we would take 30 minutes, put the kids in front of a movie, and it was like blood or fire, don't knock on the door, and we would have that, we call it debriefing because we were a military family, but we would have that debrief at the end of the day. And 30 minutes a day can make a huge difference even.
I just think that uninterrupted time is very important. I think you have to really try hard to book out that time with your spouse, because when you have kids, there's going to be tons of interruptions all the time. But I like what she said, put them in front of a movie for a while. And something else I'm going to throw out there, if you are parents, try not to talk about your kids the entire time that you are on your date. That is something that I personally struggle with. I am the worst when it comes to this. Like, we will go out to dinner and we're sitting there and I'm just like, oh yeah, so our son did da-da-da-da-da-da, and I just keep going on, and then I stop myself and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm literally just talking about our kids this entire time. Try to connect on obviously talking about your kids is important. If there are things that you need to discuss about concerning your children, obviously you need to talk about that, but don't let that just completely consume your date nights.
And I think too, like I said, if you can find a way to get that 30 minutes a day, that's the time to do that kind of thing, so that when you go out on a date, you can focus on other things and focus on talking about each other. And just remember, like when you were dating, you used to have all these dreams, and sometimes the stuff you talked about was completely not, nonsensical, ridiculous.
Right. Just talk about your favorite movie or just something light, and it doesn't always have to be exactly. It doesn't always have to be work related or, children related,
Yeah.
But anyway, so
there is more to your life, believe it or not.
What? It's crazy talk. Actually, my mom gave us as a gift one time. I think it was maybe for our anniversary or something. I can't remember. But she gave us a date night book, and it's a photo album. But beside each little slot that you put pictures in, there's a little
place to journal.
Yeah, place to journal. So
and a date night idea at the top.
So she gave us these different date night ideas. So they're so fun and so creative. Like one of them, which we haven't done yet, but I really want to do, is go out to dinner, but you guys order for each other. And then there's also just, again, an in-home date night idea is what was it called? Like a luau. Do a luau. So like go to the dollar store and get some Lay's and get like the little those little umbrellas and put them in your drink or whatever.
And the one you guys did was build a fort.
Build a fort in the living room.
And watch a movie, and watch like a movie from your youth.
Yeah, that one was a lot of fun. So anyway, like get creative. Pinterest is also a great resource for that. Just like some fun, cheap date night ideas. Moving on to our next one.
We were going to talk about was like setting a good example in front of your children.
Yeah.
This becomes easier and kind of flows out of the fact that you guys are working on your relationship. Want your kids to be able to see that. So to the best of your ability, don't fight in front of your kid. If you have something to discuss, take it behind closed doors. It can wait. You can control that emotion for a little while until the kids go to bed, or you can excuse yourself and just say, hey, mommy and daddy need to go talk for a few minutes. We always try not to fight in front of the kids, but I like what you had to say about that, if it does happen.
But if you do have a moment where you end up having an argument in front of your kids, I think it's super important to also make up in front of your kids and show how to make things right, how to apologize and humble yourself, put your pride aside and to make up. And I think it's important for your children to see, number one, how to apologize, but also how mommy and daddy aren't perfect, but we make this right, and we are still okay. We still love each other. We're not fighting anymore. There's a balance there. Like, you don't want to fight in front of your kids, all the time. I think that's really hard on kids. But I also think it again, going back to setting that good example, because kids fight with each other, siblings fight with each other, friends fight with each other.
Siblings, right?
What?
Oh.
But and I think they need to learn how to make things right with those people in their life.
Absolutely. Kids are not do as I say, not as I do. They will not go for that. Again, they're too smart for that.
Yeah.
So if you don't want your children behaving that way, don't set the example of that. They are going to mimic you, and your words have so less meaning to them if your
actions don't follow.
Right. I mean, we as adults do not like hypocritical behavior. So don't think that your children are going to be any different or are not going to notice that.
Building off of everything that we just said, respect, like loving and respecting your spouse, loving and respecting your children as well. That all goes hand in hand together, and again, when you're showing that love and that respect for your spouse, your kids are going to love and respect you as well. You have to give respect to get respect.
Right.
You can't demand respect. I have seen people in my life before that just think that, like, I deserve respect, you owe this to me, you are my child, you have to respect me. They are not going to respect you if you're acting that way towards them, or if you act that way towards your spouse. That's not how you get respect.
Right.
You get respect by giving respect and by giving that love. I wanted to point that out because I think that's super important. Like, you have to treat your spouse and treat your kids the way that you want to be treated.
Yeah.
that sounds familiar,
wait a minute.
right?
Where did that come from?
Where did that come from?
That golden rule that everybody talks about.
It's true though.
And
it really
I think sometimes we don't apply that to our families because we have that familiarity and we're always around each other, and sometimes those things that we give to strangers or give to our people that we work with or give to our friends, things like respect and not acting in a hypocritical way and all those kinds of things that we put on the front, all of a sudden we get into our home and those things go out the window. Be a person of integrity. Be who you are in front of others the way you are in front of your family. It needs to go both ways, because here you go again. Your kids see you at the house and they see you in front of other people, and they're gonna see again that hypocrite, and they're gonna lose respect. They will lose respect for you because they're like, oh, that's not what you said to so and so, or that's not what you did at home, or whatever.
Right. But like if you go to this event or whatever, and you're all smiles and sunshine at this event, and then you come home and you're just like grumbling and mumbling about, oh, this person, I don't like this person, or this person is getting on my nerves, or whatever the case may be, like that's gonna reflect on your kids. That affects them a lot.
Yeah, so those are really good things. And I wanted to kind of add on to, we were talking about not fighting in front of your kids. but also just having that united front with you and your husband. Just make sure you're on the same page with each other. And if you're not on the same page, do that behind closed doors, because you don't want to make them think that, oh, mom says yes, but daddy says no, so I can go to mom for these things, or I can go to dad for these things.
Right.
You know, and then
You have to stand together.
you got to stand together, because you start doing those kinds of things where they can get a yes from dad but a no from mom, or a yes from mom and a no from dad. It's going to cause friction in your marriage, and that's what we're talking about here, you know, is making sure you're keeping that marriage strong,
Solid.
It's not just for the kids, but it's for your, obviously, for a long-term relationship, like I said at the beginning, when you get to be an empty nester. So make sure you have that united front. Make sure you talk about those things behind closed doors and be in agreement before you come in front of your kids.
So yeah, I mean, adding to that as well, you know, if you guys are challenging each other in front of your children, then your children are going to feel like they can challenge you as well. And that goes right along with the love and respect that I was just referring to a minute ago. You know, you have to love and respect each other in front of your kids as well. And because if they see, oh, you know, mom is challenging dad, or dad is challenging mom, you know, then I can do the same thing. Maybe I can push those limits a little bit as well, and maybe I can get them to bend a little bit. Or they might try and turn you guys on each other as well. Like they'll use that against each other. Well, mommy said yes, or daddy said yes, you know, or whatever.
Right.
You know, and you know, we never did that ever. So I have no experience with this whatsoever. So I never did that.
But what was the first thing that would happen whenever you'd go ask?
Yes.
Yes,
I would go ask mom something, and mom would go, what did dad say? Well, dad said to go ask you. Okay, and then I'd go, or if I went to dad, then what did mom say? Well, but then we'd just be stuck in this loop. But it's
okay,
because,
no, it's not that, right, but that's not the point though. The point is, we would always kind of check with our kids, have you talked to mom or dad first?
I know,
the point is, you know, did your daddy already say yes or no? Because you're going to get the same answer from me. So have you talked to your dad yet? Have you talked to your mom yet? And then confirm that before you give your kid an answer, because they are sneaky sometimes.
Never.
They're sneaky sometimes, and they'll try that kind of stuff. So we would always, if they would come and ask, we would just say, hey, did you ask your dad already? Or what did your dad say? Or whatever. And if they were like, well, he said ask you, then okay, then he's throwing that over to you. That's your decision at that point.
Right. Fair enough.
And then
what was
the last thing that we wanted to talk about, I think, is the best part of it. Say I love you and kiss your spouse every day.
Yes.
Don't fall out of that honeymoon stage. My husband and I were married years and years and years, and we'd still tell people, oh, we're still dating, oh, we're still in the honeymoon stage. And now that we're empty nesters, I feel like we're back to the honeymoon stage again. You don't have to lose that. You just have to work at it. It becomes harder.
Yeah.
But you don't have to lose it. So make sure you say I love you every day. Make sure you kiss every day.
And that's something my husband and I have done from the beginning of our marriage. You know, we call every anniversary, we call it a honeymoon instead of our anniversary. We're like, we're going on our honeymoon again. You know, if we get a chance to do a couple nights somewhere, you know, but we're like, we're going on our honeymoon, you know, and just keeping that mindset. It's a choice, and it is a battle. You know, you have to fight for that and keep that at the center. You know, one of the pieces of marriage advice that we were given when we got married was to never go to bed angry. And I do agree with that. And I think there are some scenarios that can be kind of challenging, but I will say, if you guys do go to bed upset, at least you need to say I love you, you need to kiss and say goodnight, and then you need to schedule a time that you guys are going to work this out.
Right.
And so like, hey, it's getting really late, I'm tired, I can't have this conversation with you right now.
Right.
But tomorrow, whenever you get off work or whatever the scenario is, make sure you set that time aside and like, hey, listen, we're going to talk about this, we're going to work through this later. Don't let those things build up.
Right.
It's so important not to let those things build up. You deal with it right here, right now. Otherwise, again, we're talking about that friction, you know, you start letting those things build up, and next thing you know, it's like something small. It's just the straw that breaks the camel's back, and,
Right.
and you just feel like, your marriage is
Yeah.
growing apart and distant.
And just know that working through those things, and even the hard things, I mean, hard stuff is going to come along in your marriage. We've hit some really rocky points, and are there points where I would have just rather bailed? Yes. I honestly, there are times along the way where you're just going to feel like, maybe it's just not worth the fight anymore. Let me just assure you, it's worth the fight. Your marriage is worth the fight.
100%.
And when you get to the other side, when you get 36 years down the road and you've worked through all of that stuff, you see what you're really made of, and what your marriage is really made of, and what your love is really made of. And if you bail too quickly, you're never going to get to that point. You're never going to know how strong and how amazing and how wonderful your relationship really is. So,
well, this was a long one. There was a lot to dive into here.
yeah,
And
marriage is a big subject, and we could probably do a whole other one, but
we might do a part 2 at some point, because I definitely think there are some of these things that we could dive into a little bit deeper. But this was just kind of a good overall thing. But if you have more questions, more tips, advice, like, we want your input, we want your experiences as well.
absolutely.
We love all of that. Yeah, again, if you have any requests, please comment below or message us on Facebook or Instagram, and we will try to respond as soon as possible. So thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers.